I want to be clear about something upfront. This is not an attack on every taxi driver. Many are working people trying to survive in a broken economy, but any industry that allows its most violent actors to dominate public space, intimidate civilians, and operate without consequence forfeits the right to hide behind that truth. What pushed me to write this was not anger alone. It was the realization that state has trained us to accept fear as normal. When intimidation happens in full view of law enforcement and nothing follows, the message is not subtle. It tells citizens exactly where power lives. This article challenges that reality directly. It names what many people only say in private. It refuses the language of excuses. It refuses the comfort of pretending this is too complex to confront. If you are offended by this work, ask yourself why. If you feel defensive, ask yourself who benefits from silence. And if you recognize your daily experience in these words, know this. You are not imagining it. You are not alone. I'm not calling for chaos. I'm calling for law. Because a country that cannot protect how its people move cannot protect anything else. The South African Constitution is a beautiful document. It promises freedom of movement, the right to safety, and the equal protection of the law. But for anyone trying to catch an Uber at a Gautrain station or a nurse trying to get home to a township after a late shift, that document is a lie. In 2025, South Africa is no longer a unitary state. It's a collection of balkanized fiefdoms. When you cross the invisible line into a taxi territory, you are leaving the Republic of South Africa and entering the parallel state. Here, the Minister of Transport has no power.
Both Santakwe and NTA, they were asked to go and reflect on some of these issues that are affecting the taxi industry, so that in the next meeting they can come back and present. In other words, they should also look at how they can regulate themselves amongst themselves without just government being the one having to intervene.
The police commissioner has no authority, and only law that matters is the law of the association. This is not informal transport. It is a paramilitary monopoly. The disrespect is baked into the very DNA of the industry. From the reckless disregard for traffic lights that endangers every family on the road, to the calculated, cold-blooded intimidation of e-hailing drivers, the message is clear. We own the tarmac. You are just a guest and your safety is optional. There is a point at which denial becomes dishonesty. South Africa passed that point on its roads. When a taxi can stop traffic in the middle of Commissioner Street and no one dares to hoot, the law has already lost. When a passenger is shouted down at Bree taxi rank and nobody intervenes. Authority has already retreated. When traffic officers watch intimidation unfold in front of the police, the state is no longer absent. It is submissive. We are told this is a complex issue, that language is a shield. What is happening is not complex, it is blunt. An organized industry, protected by political fear, operates above the law. This is not a transport failure, it's a collapse of governance. Impunity is not accidental, it is engineered through repetition. Passengers are insulted, slapped, shoved, or thrown out of taxis for asking questions. Private motorists are surrounded, doors opened, families humiliated, ride-hailing drivers are hunted off routes deemed forbidden. And the result is always the same. No arrests, no prosecutions, no deterrence. Violence that is not punished becomes policy. This is why it escalates, not because of poverty, not because of frustration, but because it works. Inside too many taxis, the passenger has no rights, only obligations. Sit down. Don't question delays. Don't complain about reckless driving. Don't ask why the taxi is waiting to fill up. Disobedience is met with humiliation or force. This is not public service, it's domination. And it persists because drivers know passengers are alone. There is no hotline that responds, no officer who arrives, no follow up. The message is internalized quickly. Submission is safer than dignity. From North Street to MTN taxi rank, time does not belong to the commuter. Taxis leave when they choose. Passengers wait because they have no alternative. Missed interviews, written warnings at work, dismissals, lost contracts. These costs never appear in government reports, but they destroy futures. A transport system that routinely sabotages punctuality is not neutral, it is punitive. Live lanes are blocked at will. This behavior is illegal. Its persistence proves something worse than lawlessness: surrender. When an industry can paralyze a city without consequence, it has captured public space. Roads have become territory. Territory is defended through fear. Accounts from Soweto, Rosebank, Hillbrow, you name them, describe private vehicles stopped by force. Families inside, children watching, passengers dragged out and ordered into taxis. This is criminal behavior. The fact that it occurs openly tells you everything about enforcement priorities. If this were any other group, arrest would be immediate, but it is not.
There are members of SAPS who also own taxis. And when you talk about that unit that has been established to deal with the violence, that unit might have some challenges from those who are alleged to be in the same industry, making it difficult when it comes to investigations of crimes and criminality within the industry.
Taxi shutdowns have humiliated city governments before. They have shut down Johannesburg, crippled commerce, and forced negotiations under pressure. The lesson absorbed by the state was fatal. Enforcement invites retaliation. So the police hesitate, officials delay, ministers speak carefully. The result is paralysis. A state that negotiates with lawlessness teaches lawlessness how to rule. State capture is not always polite. Sometimes it wears overalls and blocks roads. An industry that can dictate terms through threat, avoid consequences, and command political attention has achieved something extraordinary. It has subordinated the state. Policy bans, enforcement pauses, accountability disappears. The public draws its own conclusion. The government is afraid. Whether officials admit it or not is irrelevant. Power is measured by action. Fear reshapes behavior. Passengers endure abuse. Drivers avoid routes. Police avoid confrontation. Violent actors grow bolder. This is how impunity metastasizes, quietly, then everywhere. A society that tolerates this becomes hostage to it. Violence is not culture. Intimidation is not heritage. Blocking roads is not economic justice. Invoking history to excuse criminality is an insult to those who build transport systems out of necessity, not terror. Ending impunity would not destroy the taxi industry, it would save it. Who really governs South Africa? A government that cannot enforce the law on its roads cannot enforce it anywhere else. When citizens believe an industry can assault, intimidate, and shut down cities without consequence, trust in democracy collapses. The road has become the clearest symbol of state weakness. Until enforcement is restored, without fear, without negotiation, the answer remains brutal and unavoidable. Those who control the road control the country. This work is dedicated to the people who move through this country quietly, to the mothers who grip their children's hands tighter at ranks, to the workers who calculate risk before time, to the drivers who keep their eyes forward, knowing a single moment of disagreement can turn violent. It is dedicated to those who have learned the rules not because they were written, but because they were enforced without law. If this documentary makes you uncomfortable, let it. Discomfort is the first sign that denial is breaking. What should trouble us far more is how normal this has become. How easily we have accepted intimidation as infrastructure and fear as fare. This is not a call to destroy an industry. It is a refusal to excuse a system that has been allowed to govern without consequence. An economy cannot be held hostage by the threat of shutdowns. A democracy cannot outsource authority to the loudest force on the road. The question is no longer whether the problem exists. The evidence is lived daily. The question is whether the state intends to govern or continue negotiating its authority at the curb. Until the law is enforced without fear or favor, the road will remain a mirror of our surrender. This ends where it began, with ordinary people asking for nothing radical, only the right to move freely, safely, and without intimidation. This is not a call for hatred, it is a demand for courage. The law already exists. What is missing is the will to apply it.